I work in TNC Housing as a janitor. I am homeless, and I can't even afford SRO, the ones that I clean. I've got on every day, blood dealer, bed bug, and general street violence. I can't even count on my own coworkers due to the high turnover. I am the Board of Supervisors of Police Pass at MCO so that I can find a home and work in dignity.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Claudia Arevalo,
Good morning, my name is Claudia Arevalo.
trabajadora de cuidado en casa por 24 años,
I've been a home care worker in San Francisco for 24 years.
miembro de SIU de local 2015 y de la unión más grande en San Francisco.
I'm a member of SAU 2015, the largest union and the largest low-wage workforce in San Francisco County.
Nosotros los trabajadores de cuidado en casa ganamos $14 la hora.
Home care providers in San Francisco County, we make $14 an hour.
En el 2000 estuvimos cubiertos por el living wage.
Covered by the living wage.
Pero la vida de ahora ha aumentado que no tienen idea.
But from the year 2000 until now, our lives have drastically changed.
Ya la verdad no podemos, los trabajadores ya no podemos
We can't do it anymore.
vivir
We can't
acá en San
live in
Francisco.
San Francisco. We can't survive.
Trabajamos duro,
We work hard.
tenemos a veces, muchos trabajadores tenemos hasta 2 trabajos,
Many of us have to look for 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet.
donde descuidamos de nuestros hijos,
And that means we can't even take care of our own children or ourselves.
donde muchas familias no tienen ni a dónde vivir.
And some of our providers don't even have a place to live.
Quiero que este día ustedes se pongan en sus manos, en su corazón,
I ask today that you start to share with us your hearts the way that we do every day.
y tengan pasión
And have compassion
por miles de trabajadores que estamos acá y afuera,
for the folks who are here today that represent thousands of workers in San Francisco.
y miles que no pudieron estar
And
acá
thousands more that could not be here today.
por trabajar. Por favor, firmen para que tengamos los 1686.
Please send this out of committee. We need at minimum 1686 on July to be able to make our lives whole.
Working very, very hard in a cold freezer. It's raining outside. It's cold. And it's wake up in the morning and see them struggling and they seem so. It's more of a. My job is more of you have to be on time with stuff because now we have delays. And each minute delays $1,000, right? Airlines make about $40 million a year, and they can give us at least $16 to $17, and then we make $14.52 an hour. That is not fair. I can't even imagine my mom or my grandma working there. You know, it hurts. It really hurts. You know, and I see them crying, and it's very bad. So if you guys can really help them, please. If we vote for you guys, why can't you help us? Why can't you help them? You know.
Board of Supervisors. My name is Ronald Rogers. I'm a housing navigator in a transitional housing program for folks who are on probation. And I work at the Tinoan Housing Clinic at the Drake Hotel. Many of my brothers and sisters are forced to jump from one job to the next in our world for 50-cent raises. I've had 3 jobs in the last 2 years for 50-cent raises, because these things make a big difference to us as working people. This has an enormous impact on the clients that our case managers see, on the folks who want clean bathrooms in their hotels provided by professional janitors, and who want a friendly face to see at their front desk of their hotel. Some folks, the most important relationships that they have, or the most consistent relationships that they have, are the folks that they see at the front desk of their hotels. And it's important for us to have a living wage to live on, so that we feel like we have the stability to stay in these jobs as long as we'd like to.
Well, speaking workers, and let's face it, what we're really struggling with here are not our for-profit workers. Everyone seems agreed that the living wage is something that we need to raise. raise for our for-profit workers, but we're really filing over our non-profit workers and whether they deserve this or not. And at the root of this issue is that over the years, the city has increasingly depended on nonprofit contractors to do the city's work. Since I've been in San Francisco, this has been an increasing trend on how we do business. So rather than have people work for the city in well-paid jobs, represented with full benefits, we push more and more work in the city onto nonprofit. Now, I've been told that nonprofit workers got minimum wage, and that's sufficient. $15 an hour, yes, that's good. But can you really live in San Francisco on $30,000 a year? No. Raise a family?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. That's
People
why.
work rent, think about it, $30,000 a year. Typically, people say that no more than a third of your income can go to rent. $10,000 a year for rent. What does that get you in San Francisco? That's not even $1,000. And the reality is that these workers do some of the hardest work in our city. They take care of the most marginalized members of our community, the most vulnerable members of our community. The in-home support service workers take care of our parents, our aunts and uncles, our grandparents, people with disabilities. The role that they played, in taking care of people with HIV and AIDS over the last 30 years has been heroic. And I just say that to someone who's living with HIV. And it's just not acceptable that we do not do everything we can to pay them enough money to be able to survive in San Francisco. It's just not acceptable. And we have this opportunity right now before us to do something historic, to raise the wages of the lowest paid in our city, doing work on behalf of our city, $1.86. And I just asked, how many people have worked for minimum wage? I feel like when I have conversations with people, I'm not talking to people who ever survived on minimum wage. Whatever it was, at whatever time in history. When I first got to the city, I couched. I worked as a bike master. That's minimum wage. Less than minimum wage.
I'm Romeo Valera. I'm an employee of SkyShip. I'm working in an issue department, and I work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I earn $1,600 per month, and I live in San Francisco. I rent a small room. I pay $1,250 a month, and I spend almost $100 for the transportation expenses. So if we see the figures, it's only $200 left on my salary. So we are asking you, Mike, to please understand our situation. This is the reality of our life here in San Francisco.
Cái tuần này con là tôi代表我哋呢度呢1000人向我嘅三藩市市長、眾議員、參議員代表我哋講出我哋嘅心聲。我係好努力喺基本美嗰度拍餐嗰度。
My name is Yen Lee. I'm a Giggle janitor. I'm here represent thousands of my co-workers.
有個基本美嘅員工咧向市長同埋參議員、眾議員嗰哋表達我哋心聲，要求基本美佢哋飛機師同航空小姐加我哋嘅人工，俾我哋嘅福利，爭取我哋嘅權益。
We are asking you guys how to put pressure on the airline catering. We won't have the similar benefit as like other flight attendants and pilots.
因為我哋做工嗰個咧，每一個員工啦同埋幹部啦都好努力個做工，做得好快好快，個個做得好好，要求加我哋工資同埋福利啊，冇乜嘢，多謝大家。
We are working very hard. We asking they can offer our good benefit and good wages.
can you tell me about what TPS is?
So TPS is a program that was established in 1990 for countries.
Also, if you could. Yeah,
for
thanks.
countries that were devastated either by war or natural disasters. So a lot of these countries are not ready to receive all these people. So it's about 400,000 people here under this program, and it has been terminated. We were giving like 12 or 19 months to pack and go back home. And we have families, we have jobs, we're part of the community here, and that is not like a solution just to tell us go back after we have contributed to the economy of this country. We pay over $11 billion in taxes every year.
We want justice for our people. We are the people who have them without
So many of us been here for over 20 years. We've been here over 20 years, and you know, we don't know that place. Our home is here. A lot of us have business. We're part of this community. Our kids are still in school. It's a really hard decision to bring our kids to a place they don't know or leave them here under the care of government or other people that we don't know. So it's really hard.
What can we do to help organize for justice for TPS?
We're currently doing lobbying, trying to bring awareness about TPS, because a lot of people don't know what this is, because they ask, oh, you've been here for so many years, how come you are not resident? And people don't understand that it doesn't work like that. Like, you can just walk into a place and say, oh, I want to be a resident. It doesn't work like that. So right now we're trying to get funding so we could go lobbying, and so we can move forward with this campaign. It's going to take a while, and but hopefully we'll get something out of it.
Thanks so much.
lot of other things that are being proposed by the Trump administration that have already been kind of moving forward really quickly in NAFTA negotiations. Things that are from the TPP, for example. So access to medicines, locking down these patent monopolies that would make it harder for generic life-saving medicines to enter the market. That's something that all three parties seem to be okay with moving forward on. And that would be devastating to folks who are suffering from HIV or from cancer. It would make it so much harder for them to get generic life-saving medicine. So they're in agreement on that. They're also, it looks like they're also talking about removing food safety standards, so making it harder to label things. And that's something that everyone will probably talk about a little bit. So there are a lot of bad things in these negotiations, and there are some proposals that are kind of interesting. But the bottom line for us today is we're delivering this letter, and this is a letter that the San Francisco Living Wage Foundation Coalition has pushed forward, and they've gotten a lot of signers on it, and we've gotten a lot of signers on it. There are over 1,000 organizations, labor, environmental, and other organizations, who are putting this out. And the goal of this letter, and the goal of this meeting, because as Carl said, everyone is doing, the Trump administration is doing everything possible to make sure that NAFTA is renegotiated by the end of April, that they have some kind of deal in place by the end of April. They're just rushing through. Obviously, they won't get, it's probably not going to be that great. So the purpose of this letter is for us to deliver and to show the Democratic Party that these organizations, they're all organizations in the Democratic Party's base. And they all dislike NAFTA as it stands. They want it to be renegotiated, but they don't want it to be renegotiated in the way that Trump's doing it. They want it to be renegotiated in a way that puts working people, that puts the environment, puts access to medicine, etc. first. And that's something that needs to be said, because the Democrats have largely been silent on this issue. What they do, what's been happening is that we're hearing Democrats defending NAFTA where it stands, defending the status quo, and that's something that's unacceptable. And the reason that we're meeting with Leader Pelosi's staff today is that we want to make sure that she knows that all of these organizations that are in that base, they want her and they want the rest of the Democratic Party to take a strong stand on what should be done after the negotiations. Not defend it, but to actually say, okay, what the Trump administration is doing, he's not putting working people first, he's not putting the environment first, he's not putting access to medicine first, and we want that to happen. So that's why this is such an important meeting.
NAFTA doesn't protect workers' rights. It doesn't protect workers' rights to organize a union, and that it's been depressing wages on both sides of the border. There's some good paying jobs here, and in Mexico it's been especially devastating. And we had a delegation that went and met with maquiladora workers in Mexico, factory workers that the wages just aren't sustainable.
It seems to me is how NAFTA has contributed to the forced migration of so many people. The desperation that's created pushed people to go through great risk to try to get we maintain contact with people in August. They're continuing to do really outstanding, really amazing work organizing the workers. And also the group we worked with and met with in Juarez, Las Hormigas, they do a really good job of supporting the children and the women who are oppressed in the workplace.
Take a step back to the previous point. My mom actually worked at a maquiladora, so she shared with me her experience working there and the conditions. And then having that, and then migrating here because of those conditions that she had to go through, that she didn't want me to go through. Some of the work we did was around TPP, and we believe that NAFTA is going to basically include the same regulation that we saw with TPP, but it's going to be even weaker. And we definitely are very concerned about the food safety. We're concerned, like we saw, for example, in Mexico, that there was this outbreak of a swine flu that now we call the NAFTA flu. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but we're not doing the proper inspections, and we're just letting these companies continue to work and these workers to work under those conditions.
Labor standards have to be kept. We have to protect our labor laws, and it has to be universal. We have to have organizing rights, and then we have to protect our labor laws because Trump's not undermining it now. But I also think if you're going to have an ISDS, it should be staffed with environmental leaders and union leaders. If you have an ISDS, it's staffed with our people who are going to watch out to make sure those laws are protected. So if you have one, otherwise I don't think you should have one. But I do think that labor, and I know my union, there are very strong feelings about it. We have to make sure that our jobs and our labor laws and so on are protected, and health and safety laws, because that workers can be protected anywhere they go. And the bottom line to it is, if they can go and build an unsafe plant in Mexico or someplace else, and they don't have to go by the safety laws here, they go over there, those workers are getting killed the same way we're getting killed here. So, no, there has to be consistent safety laws, and everybody has to live by it.
It's very important that we have the labor rights and the environmental rights and standards written inside of the agreement, not as side agreements, it's a common feature of these global trade treaties to do that. So they have to be central values within the trade agreements. Otherwise, we're creating global governance with business values, and they're enforced by ISDS, these panels that can undermine our national, state, and local laws. That's just not a structure of justice that is compatible with democracy, labor rights, and environmental rights. We have to make it very clear that the labor standards and environmental standards have to be inside the agreement. That's my major point. I think that's important to emphasize with Dan Bernal.
So I'm here to tell that human rights, basic rights, food and housing, are something that it has to be established, and that's a right, and it has to be defended and advocate for the people, because we are always thinking about what is my vision, what is my goal to succeed, and what about humanity? What about basic rights? And it's like people when they come here, they don't think about all these situations. They only think about saving their life, and this is something about life and death, and we have to be conscious about that. This is something that is very important. It's like what is our goals as human beings? It's like what exactly are our because this is something that is moral and ethic, and we have to think about that. We have to be conscious about that.